everything that you can imagine. And that's the wonderful thing about this is it's something new every single day. We're not creating or doing the same thing every day. The staff are able to change programs up, follow what the needs are. You feed them, they will show up. And then you're putting some type of educational piece along with that.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show, Leadership Series, as we celebrate our 600th episode. Hosted by Craig LeBlanc, this series shines a spotlight on the leaders shaping the future of parks and recreation across America. In today's special episode, Craig is joined by Byron Haigler, Director of Cabarrus County Parks and Recreation in North Carolina. From inspiring leadership lessons to the power of storytelling and community impact, Byron shares the experiences that have shaped his remarkable journey. Join us as we celebrate 600 episodes of elevating the parks and recreation profession. Let's dive in.
All right, we are live again. This is Craig LeBlanc with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. I am now part of a large family of Parks and Rec shows that air every week, every month, some of us every day. I think we're up to 17 different shows and show hosts, all talking about Parks and Rec. This was our vision that we had. I can't believe it's already been 18 months. I can't believe it's only been 18 months. It's one of those things that time just kind of does a weird thing when you're working on a passion project like this. But we have shows on rec sports. We have one of our recent shows with Beatrice is on arts and Parks and Rec, performing arts and visual arts. We also have a show with John Prue every Tuesday on the Military Rec Show. We've got technology shows on software, on hardware. Of course, we've got Aaron Locks doing a show now. Actually, this Tuesday, Aaron's picking up a second show. So twice a week, you get to hear about rec sports. When you think about Parks and Rec, that's literally in the title, recreation. And what most people think traditionally is the little baseball field and the college kid. I mean, the parent coaching and concession stands. But there really is so much more that goes into rec sports, really in programming in general. But what we're talking about on that show, and I'm sorry to go a little long on this, but it really is very important. Right now, there's like a big movement in Parks and Rec nationwide to reclaim rec sports so that it's offered at all skill levels to the entire community, and that it's not all, captured by this for-profit sports ecosystem. And some of us have sports tourism that goes on, and that was kind of the reason you built your big sports facility. But it is important to continue to offer programming in sports to everyone, because there's so many great life lessons. And one of the directors that came on earlier this year was like, this is their Super Bowl. They literally will never play organized sports, potentially never again in their life. After their little fifth grade baseball team, that'll be the last time they're on a sports team. And so for them, this is everything. They're never going to be a college athlete. They're maybe going to be a great musician or a great professor or a great engineer. And so this is everything to these kids. And some of them can't afford the big travel ball leagues and stuff. And so that's why I really have been supportive of Aaron and his work and his mission to bring rec sports back. And Parks and Rec is at the heart of that. So that's a really important show to all of us, really. We also have a show with the Young Professionals Network. So if you're a young professional, or if you're studying to be in this industry, we have a show dedicated just to you on Thursdays, 5 p.m. And then our last couple of shows, some of our newer shows, this show, the Leadership Series, finds Parks and Rec professionals, directors, leaders in the community, and just helps tell their story. And so I have a great guest today, Byron, over there in the great state of North Carolina. North Carolina, by the way, is just killing it as one of our great states. It's doing a lot of good stuff. But me and Papa Jay we're kind of in charge of finding these leaders and helping to tell their stories. His show is on Friday. Mine's Monday through Thursday. His is on Friday. And then immediately following his, Wesley King does a great show, All Things Aquatics. If you are an aquatics professional, or if you have people that are in aquatics, you can go watch any of Wesley's shows, and they are great content. I mean, you could watch them 10 years from now. It's great continuing education. So if you're looking for a free way to educate and provide value to your aquatics professionals, just go to our YouTube channel. like and subscribe, please, so we can get that number up there and go live. But yeah, that's a great way to keep investing into the knowledge and the skill of being an aquatics professional. All right, that's all I have for y'all as far as an intro. Hope y'all had a great weekend. I have a couple of transitions coming up. I know we have a new transition coming up that's going to tie in all the other shows. And today, I did not even realize it. We just snuck up on our 600th episode. It wasn't until I was logging in, I was looking at Byron's name and what we were going to, and it was number 600. So typically we celebrate, but we're just producing so much content. So maybe we'll do another big celebration on like 750 or 1000 or something. And we'll bring all the show guests and kind of make a big deal out of it. But anyway, we'll do a little micro celebration about today being our 600th episode. Thank you, everybody, for getting us here. All right, so I'll quit yapping. Let's go ahead and play the transition and play the Smart Parks promo, if you don't mind, for me, Carlo. And then we'll bring Byron on stage. And we've got something special that he made with his team to show y'all. So we'll be right back.
The future of parks and recreation isn't coming, it's already here. Across communities everywhere, technology is transforming how parks connect, engage, and serve the people who rely on them. From smart amenities and connected infrastructure to real-time data and innovative solutions, a new generation of parks is taking shape. Welcome to Smart Parks Forward, presented by DPRS Media Network and co-produced by Outdoor Link. Each episode brings you the leaders, innovators, and visionaries driving the future of parks and recreation. Discover groundbreaking ideas, real-world success stories, and the technologies helping agencies create safer, smarter, and more connected communities. Because great parks don't just improve spaces, they improve lives. The future is connected. The future is intelligent. The future is now. This is Smart Parks Forward.
All right. Dave does such a great job on Tuesdays. He makes that Smart Parks Forward show. But welcome to the show, Byron. How are you doing this? You had a good weekend?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on the show, and we can absolutely celebrate 600 today. We can have a little mini celebration today.
I know. I can't. We did a great celebration. We even had like a little 3-minute thank you promo that we made on 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. And then we just put our head down and just started working, because I think we've added maybe 7 shows since our 500th episode, 7 different weekly shows. And there's been so much that have happened. It's really got a lot of momentum behind it.
That's a lot of content. That's impressive.
Yeah, we're up to 17 hours a week, I think, maybe pushing 20, trying to get to 168 hours a week, which would be a true 24/7 network. That's just, now we can start running reruns, so maybe we really need to get to maybe 80 hours, but I'd say we're about a fifth of the way there. But there's no amount of content you could create on this industry, because y'all do so much. By the way, thank you so much for all that you do. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this crazy industry of parks and recreation?
It is a crazy industry. I did not expect to fall into this. I really wasn't sure what to do. I'm not your typical park and rec kid, or really I call myself a unicorn in the industry.
Yeah.
Because even my education is not park and recreation. And so how I fell into it was really based off of just the scouting organization. I got into that and fell in love with the outdoors and knew that whatever I did going forward would have to have that incorporated into it. And so through that process, I ended up going to Appalachian State because it's just a gorgeous campus and you can go hiking on trails and enjoy. But really it was, what are you going to do with a biology degree?
Yeah. Now when you say scouting, you're talking about Boy Scouts, right?
Boy Scouts, yes.
And you were an Eagle Scout?
I was an Eagle Scout, yes, sir.
So for those that aren't involved in Boy Scouts at all, why don't you just give a quick little commercial on what it meant for you to do that? Because I think, we all know about Boy Scouts as far as we know the logo and the brand and stuff. But if you haven't been a parent or actually gone on these trips and seen the little boys trying to earn their badges and stuff, how would you describe this to the rest of the world?
It's learning life skills and life lessons and how to be a leader from a very young age. That's truly what scouting is learning to take care of others and to step up when others don't. You don't realize these things get embedded into you so young, especially when you're going through it in the Cub Scouts, when they're kindergarten through 5th grade and they're just going out, they're camping, they're cooking over a fire and they're having a good time. But what they're not seeing and what the parents see is they're learning communication skills. They're getting up and making presentations in front of groups. They're having to try something new every single day that they're coming in there. Our logo is do your best when you get into the Boy Scouts, but for the Cubs, it's just is to give it your all. And so that's just what it comes down to. And when you get older, these life skills stay with you, and people are, well, how did you learn how to tie those knots? Or how did you learn how to do this? Well, I went to Scouts. It's just, you write it off so quickly, but you don't realize the impact that it truly had in you, the appreciation of nature and everything around you.
Yeah. And I think one of the, skills that I learned in Boy Scouts early on, and I didn't make it to Eagle Scout. I got in late because a friend of mine was an Eagle Scout, and he invited me when I was much older. But I noticed that as soon as you learn anything, they assign you a little younger guys, and you're like, all right, now go teach them. And that is such a great skill set, not just to be good at something, but then be good at teaching that something. You're going to use that forever. Like literally to the day you close your eyes. That's a huge skill set. The Boy Scouts are always giving people leadership opportunities as soon as they come in.
Yes. And that's where you just step back and watch it happen. We all learn as parents. It's so much easier for somebody else to teach our kids because our kids get used to us being the ones trying to coach and push. But when someone else that they respect or look up to is trying to give them that information, they retain it so much faster. So whether it's a 5th grader teaching a 2nd grader or a 32-year-old teaching a 5-year-old, like it's incredible to see the impact and how quickly it happens. Yeah.
And I'm not sure if people are aware of the close tie that Parks and Rec has with Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, 4-H, but they have these like third party that they're doing their thing. They have the kids, but maybe they don't quite yet have a piece of land. I know our Boy Scout hut was on Parks and Rec property, and they maintained it and cut the grass and everything. And it was just like a little metal hut that we met in. But maybe speak about how Parks and Rec kind of partners with Boy Scouts and some of the others as well.
Well, that was a lot of my success as a young park ranger for the county was why recreate the wheel? Take all of the incredible resources you have with the scouting organization and teach those programs. What I noticed early on as a park ranger was all of these Girl Scouts specifically were looking for these life skill based trainings, and they would come fussing that they're not getting what they wanted out of their program. And so I would teach those merit badges. I would teach those programs that I learned growing up in Boy Scouts to everyone, and became a merit badge counselor and started offering those trainings. So where we really partnered was we were providing a campground. We were providing these opportunities. Now we're programming directly to them and using their own curriculum to do it. And so we just married so easily in that. But there's a lot of ways that we do, whether it's service projects. We are the host site for so many Eagle projects or community service projects because it's all about giving back, and we give that that platform for that to happen.
Yeah. And just to toot the horn of the Girl Scouts, I think there's probably millions of early little sales reps that got their first job selling something by selling Girl Scout cookies in front of a Walmart, where you just learned to, raise money for your little Girl Scout. What do they call it? I know we call it troops in Boy Scouts. What do they call their group of Girl Scouts?
I'm not sure. I will get it wrong.
I know, me too.
But they do such a great job at the sales and the fundraising side of it and getting those communication skills. And so it was really just filling a gap where they felt like they were lacking.
Yeah.
The Girl Scouts is fantastic. The Boy Scouts do the same thing, but just not to the
not at that level.
Not to the level that the Girl Scouts do.
Yeah, they take it to they take the cookie bake sale to the industrial level.
Yes.
Okay, so you were a Boy Scout, you were an Eagle Scout, and then kind of what's your next step in life after that?
Well, it was going to school at Appalachian State, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life. And you get pounded in high school saying, "Oh, what career path are you headed on?" And I had no idea what that trajectory was, besides just wanting to be outside.
Wait, you mean at 18 years old, you didn't know exactly what you were going to do the rest of your life?
I was expected to, but I had no clue.
Welcome to the rest of us. I think, it's kind of, I shudder thinking that my 18-year-old self made lifelong decisions for me at, 40 and 50 years old. But really, that's where we are. We're asking an 18-year-old kid to make the decision of what you're going to do to provide for your family for the rest of your life. And you're just guessing almost at that point.
The presentations that I get to make now to the middle school and the high school are exactly that. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have a clue what you want to do. I didn't make up my mind until my junior year of college of what I thought I wanted to do then. I said, your passions will change. Yeah. Whatever it may be. I said, just follow what interests you, what makes you happy, what gets you excited. The money will make sense eventually. Yeah. So right now, just chase what you like. So I get to kind of push back on that when I get to meet with these middle and high school age students. But I was going to school at Appalachian and trying to figure out what to do. And I was like, well, what I was good at, I was double majoring. I was majoring in chemistry and biology, of all things.
I'm sure the chemistry degree helps you out in Parks and Rec, huh?
Absolutely. It applies every single day. Not at all. Not at all. But I said, what am I going to do? I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to be in a classroom every day. I don't want to be held into a classroom, but I also don't want to go into the medical field. So what are you doing? And trying to answer that question to my parents, what are you doing with a biology degree? Yeah. And so I found Grandfather Mountain. Grandfather Mountain hired me as a seasonal employee to take care of their bears, their eagles, their otters, their deer, and teach people about them. And I fell in love with it. I was like, I get to strike new passions into people, be a roving park ranger and teaching these programs and take care of animals every single day. And I was like, this is it. This is it. I enjoy teaching, but my classroom is the outdoors. And so that's where it just hit me of, I need to be a park ranger. Park ranger makes perfect sense of what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of fell into place, because they grabbed me and they said, what makes you stand out? And I was taking care of bears and otters and all those things. And they said, you were attacked by a bear when you were 14. Your story is going to be able to help so many people in their interactions with wildlife. So your first steps, your first encounter, what you do can save your life as well as the bears, or as well as the chipmunk, or whatever it may be that they're interacting with. And so that became my first real park and rec job was doing exactly that, of telling my bear attack story.
So you were actually attacked by a bear at 14? Oh my gosh. All right. You got to tell us that story.
I was attacked by a bear when I was 14. We were on a 2-week survival backpacking trip in Cimarron, New Mexico. And so that was the epitome of the Boy Scout trip. We're going to train for a year, camp everywhere to get ready for, it was a 99-mile backpacking trip. And so you're carrying everything on your back that you have over that 2-week period. And so a bunch of young kids and some adults, going out, and we're going to accomplish this goal.
Mhm.
And the 5th day into it, we had started at the base of Mount Phillips, and it was freezing cold that day, and it was raining on us. And so it's just a miserable hike. We get to the very top of the mountain. We set up our camp, and we said, we're done. We're gonna get everything ready to go. And so we climbed in our tents at 5 p.m. We were that tired.
Wow.
And so at 5:15 that morning, I woke up to something knocking the breath out of me. And when you get up and you think, especially camping in the middle of the night, I figured one of my buddies had gotten up to go use the bathroom and tripped over my tent stake and fell on top of me. So I wasn't happy about it. But when I went to move, something just grabbed me so hard, and it was the most powerful thing I've ever felt, just squeezing the life out of you.
God, what kind of bear was it?
It was a cinnamon colored black bear.
How did you catch its name, or how big it was, or male, female? Did you know?
It was a fully grown cinnamon colored black bear. I don't know the way. I never actually saw it.
Oh my
so
gosh.
if you think of a camping sleeping bag, it is the size. It was pretty much covered everything except for my eyeballs. So all I could see is a cocoon sleeping bag. It's freezing cold, and I sleep on my stomach. And this bear was on top of me on a tent the size of my body, laying down. So it's very low profile. And so it's on top of me, and I'm just hanging on and getting thrown around like a rag doll. It would pick me up, tent stakes and all, and toss me around. And it was a tragic, time at that point, but I really didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
All I knew was pain. I couldn't breathe, and something strong had a hold of me.
Yeah.
And so all you would hear was pop, pop, pop. And what I realized later that was the bear's claws were going through the rain fly, going through my sleeping bag, going into me. All I felt was pressure. And so at one point, the bear got off of me, and you have one of those just, last laugh before you die moments. And when the bear got off the tent just popped right back up. And I looked up, and it's a single post tent, the size of your body laying down.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's a good tent right there.
That's a good commercial for whatever tent that was.
So they hop off, and there's just holes torn off. This thing is just in shreds.
Where are your other, I guess, people you were with? Are they all kind of close by, or did they hear all the commotion? Or the one time I caught my breath and was able to yell for help, you could hear all the commotion, you could hear all the yelling going on, but in my condition, I'm not sure what's going on. Right.
All I can see is this here. And so they are doing their best to try to run the bear off, but it is not having it. It's going to figure out what's inside this tent and why it's making sounds. And it's just, I'm the one for the bear.
Right.
And so they were trying to when they got it off of me, and then it started coming back. That was the only time I actually saw the bear, was when it pressed. I heard the footsteps coming up, and the bear pressed its nose against the tent flap, and I could see it breathing in and out against the tent flap. And I just covered up, got ready for round 2, and there we went. And they eventually got it back off of me, and I stood up through one of the gaping holes in my tent as the voices trailed off down the mountain. And I stood up and looked around, and there's nobody. There's not a soul. There's a lot of empty tents everywhere, but nobody's there. And so I start looking around and checking myself out. And I said, I think I'm okay.
Not a scratch or anything?
Yeah, I'm in thermal underwear. I'm looking. I'm like, I think I'm okay.
No
and
arms
I look
missing?
at my shoulder, and there's a bunch of rips in my thermal underwear on my shoulder. And I was like, okay, well, that's. And then I look down at my hand, and my hand is just right at the bottom of the cuff of the thermal underwear, just rolling blood off of it.
Oh no!
And so I went and sat down, and eventually they all came back up the hill. They all expected me to be dead. They saw me stop making noises a long time ago. The bear had a hold of me for over 30 minutes, and so they assumed that bear was eating me alive. And so they never expected to see me sitting up waiting on them to come back. And the guys were incredible. They took all of my gear. They separated it all up onto their backs. The guy in front of me wore my camel pack so I could drink water off of him while we hiked 5 miles to the nearest access trail. And one of the base camp rangers drove a Jeep up a 4-wheeler trail out in the middle of nowhere and came to pick me up to take me back to base camp to get much needed aid.
Oh, so what ended up being the damage? Did you have any stitches or?
They couldn't actually sew it up because just the risk of infection. So you had to just let it all ooze. So we just kept changing out bandages. And so it just really tore my shoulder up really bad. On my back, there are 5 holes where the bear at one point just came down and swiped, and my shoulder blade stopped it from going any deeper. So just some cool scars for a story.
Oh, that's the coolest survival story. That's, man, I bet you were kind of like I don't want to say a hero, but survival. You must have told that story quite a few times over the years, huh?
Many different versions, some more detailed than others, especially around a campfire. It gets more detailed, but great icebreaker for sure. And just, it gives you the respect or the ear of those who have been backpacking for a while, that I do know what I'm talking about. So hear me out when I tell you to talk whenever you're walking down the trail, to wear a bell or however you want to announce to the woods that you're coming, because we're the only ones that are out in the hottest part of the day. The bears are bedded down. The animals are bedded down because they're not burning energy just to burn energy in the hottest parts of the day. We're the only ones out exploring at this time. So you're going to surprise the woods by us walking through them. So make sure you let them know we're coming.
All right. So now you're working full time for this as a Grandfather Mountain. What was that like?
So Grandfather was a great time. We had really just the coolest job, still to this day, probably to me, one of the coolest jobs, because you couldn't get mad at the animals. You got mad at them, but you were over it the next day. You're taking care of, they just don't know any better. Now, the patrons that you were dealing with, obviously you got ill at them of them dropping trash or anything else that you're dealing with, just being people. But you get to take care of barred owls or mountain lions or bald eagle or golden eagle or deer every single day. And that's a very unique experience to just know how fortunate you were. It didn't quite pay the bills. So you had to chase some different changes in the future, but we even had a sign on the door that said, "Your pay is your time with the animals."
Yeah. Yeah. I had a friend of mine went to one of these, I don't know if you've heard of those ayahuasca ceremony retreats. He was a soldier and was trying to get past some stuff. And he went to Costa Rica and he said, "Craig, Mother Nature owns this land." Like, you are a visitor. It's not like a city where you can see the humans pretty much own the land over here, but it was just, you're going into the wild and this is their home that you're just visiting and stuff. And he said it's amazing to see how Mother Nature is in her raw form. And so you got to really present and educate people on that, correct?
Absolutely. And I will ditto what your friend says, because Costa Rica is incredible. I got to camp in the rainforest in Costa Rica, and you get in the middle of a bunch of howler monkeys fighting it out. You learn how small you are
right
in the world real quick.
So. Yeah. And so how many years did you do that?
3 years for Grandfather Mountain.
And that now, that's not the end of your story outside of Parks and Rec. Didn't you do something else before you actually kind of found your way into Parks and Recreation? So
it was really leaving Grandfather Mountain, graduating from college in the middle of a recession. 2009, it took 6 months to find a part-time job.
Recession. That's the big boy.
Yes. So you come out of school expecting, I've got a degree, I'm going to be able to find a job. it took 6 months to find a part-time job. I
Wow.
was applying for the state for full-time park ranger positions, could not find one, and then was able to be selected, thankfully, for a part-time job with Cabarrus County as a park ranger. And so wasn't a full-time gig. I was expecting, benefits, the whole 9 yards, but I started as part-time and did that for a year before I was fortunate to get a full-time job as a senior park ranger with the county.
So tell people about, when we think about Parks and Rec, at least on this, with this media company, we mostly focus on, like the municipal owned city, public pools, programs, stuff like that, sports and stuff. And then we've probably done about 12 shows of the 600 on state parks. We've even had a couple of national parks. So how would you describe these, how it differs from what you see at the city level versus these state and national parks?
Sure. So it's different everywhere, which I'm sure you get that. But as far as North Carolina and our focus here, so your towns and your municipalities, so your cities are operating these smaller parcels, these high density, smaller pieces of property. So we call them pocket parks. Then you have neighborhood parks. Really, anything smaller than 50 acres typically is what's being operated by your local municipalities. So those cities and towns are operating those small parks that are high density. Your counties are operating those regional parks. And what I mean by regional parks are your 50 plus acres. So typically 100 plus acre parcel that is more rural in their location. So I'm not getting the high density piece of it. I'm not getting the easy travel or sidewalks in to these parcels that are out there, but they can be much more environmental education based in that because of just the amount of land that's there. So you still have your youth sports and your ball fields and things like that, depending on whether or not the land allots for it. So it's really just, what does the land allow us to do here, and what does the community truly want? But it's really size is how I would break that down. Is your cities, your towns are operating much smaller parcels. The county are operating larger parcels than your state, and national even larger as far as the amount of acreage.
Yeah. A friend of mine is a ranger at Homachita National Park, and it's like 197,000 acres. And then they have like 500 acres developed with little campgrounds and fire rings and stuff. But like you said, it's just a massive chunk of land that you can explore and camp and stuff. Quite different from what you see at the city park level.
Yes, for sure.
And so then how long did you do that for?
So I've been fortunate. I've actually almost been able to work every position with Cabarrus County. So I started as a part-time park ranger in 2009, was selected for a senior park ranger in 2010. I was in a senior park ranger position for a year. So 2011, I was promoted to a park manager position, and then was able to develop a new regional park in the Midland area from 2011 on, and was in that role until 2016, where I was promoted into the superintendent position. And so from the superintendent position, that's where my world really got expanded into the senior world of Parks and Recreation. I knew very, very little about older adults, about programs, about services, and my eyes were opened immediately. I coming into that superintendent role, we walk into a senior center, and we have everything from indoor archery to pole dancing and everything in between.
Wow.
And I was like, what do you mean? This is not a sit around and play cards and knitting. Yes, we have all those things, but this is way more active than you would ever expect these facilities to be.
Yeah. All right. We're at the halfway point. Let's go ahead and thank a couple of our show sponsors. When we come back from that, I wanted to talk about how we tell our story to our elected officials, and then continue on with your your journey into Parks and Rec. Today's two show sponsors, these are two of our oldest sponsors. So big shout out to Outdoor Link and the National Academy of Athletics. They actually also help us to create some of this content. So Outdoor Link is a company that helps cities become smart parks. So imagine if you had all your infrastructure tied to like an iPad, so you could turn splash pads on, lock your bathroom door locks after a certain hour, or control your baseball field lights. They've been doing this for quite a while. Dave and his team just do an amazing job. And the National Academy of Athletics. So if you have your community wants you to start this pickleball league or this flag football league, they can help run this turnkey, and they keep it focused on involving the whole community, making sure that it's not just some big for-profit thing. And they provide everything turnkey, the coaches, the staff, everything, so that you can offer these programs and still run the ones that you want. So Carla, why don't you go ahead and run those two promos for those two great companies, and thank you all for sponsoring the show today. And then we'll come right back and finish up our conversation with Byron.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the daily Parks and Rec show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
They say it's just rec. Just rec, where kids learn to try again. Just rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs. We're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
All right, so now you've shifted gears from educating people on Mother Nature, wildlife, massive tracts of land, and now you're working for, is it Cabarrus County?
Yes, sir.
And y'all have what, 240,000, I guess, people that y'all serve? It's one of the, I think you told me this is one of the fastest growing counties in North Carolina, correct?
Yes, we're about to eclipse 250. We are growing very quickly. So yes, that's very it. There's a huge demand for resources, and tax base is that resource. So who gets that pot of money and who gets what they need, with school systems and everyone else, asking for, how do we handle the population? How do we take care of the growth? And so you typically in your non-mandated departments are scraping at whatever's left.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what are the services y'all provide, and how is a county Parks and Rec different from the local cities? Because I'm assuming y'all have several cities within your county that you're kind of collaborating and cooperating with What's that relationship like?
It has to be a partnership. So
Yeah.
that way we are communicating very well, and then also not duplicating efforts. So a lot of your local municipalities are offering typically the more or less youth athletic based services and classes that are going on. They're providing rec centers to offer to all ages. They're providing those elements where for us as a parks department, we're offering more of the environmental education side of it. We're getting folks out to experience nature in many fashions, and then we operate our senior centers that we now term active living centers. So folks are always wondering, well, what is an active living center? I said, you just don't want to associate with the word senior. We couldn't get you in the parking lot because you're 90 years old and said you don't want to be called a senior. So we changed the name to active living centers so to get folks to come in here and just, we know we're going to win you over when you walk in the door, because we're offering 50 plus programs out of one facility every single week for these 50 and betters who we program for.
Yeah.
So they're coming in and they're getting that education, they're getting the social opportunity, they're getting the wellness side of it all when they come in. So we play in that realm specifically of all ages for the parks, and for the active living centers, we're really programming for that 50 plus population.
Yeah, because I think how we used to think about it is the senior centers are for 80-year-olds playing bingo. But now today it's so much more. It's broadened out to, like you said, to encapsulate like the 50-year-olds, and then all this other programming starting at 50 all the way, to the end of life.
That's it. And it's just realizing, when you say about telling stories, that's one of the main focuses that we've been trying to show, is that these facilities are saving lives. They're saving tax dollars because they're keeping people at home longer.
Yeah.
The longer you can keep someone active, the more engaged, the more social you can keep them, the healthier they are, and they're at home, which is eventually saving money for the taxpayer.
Yeah, because really your health can take a nosedive. Like I've even heard people say that retirement's almost like a death sentence. You retire 6 years later, typically you die. And it's just because, you're just sitting at home, isolated, just almost like you're just waiting to just, pass away. But with these active adult centers, now you have a community, you have lots of stuff you can do. And now I don't know if y'all do this, but I've heard a lot of previous guests that organize these trips around the world or to local, parks or cities, where they take these kind of tours and they all go as a big group. Do y'all do anything like that?
We used to have a pretty active travel club, but we
really
kind of reined back in and said, what is our true niche? What is our reach? And it's getting our folks to be active in our facilities here instead of taking them out. The cost that it takes to get folks out and go on these pieces it will truly just take out your budget. And so the true impact for the community is getting folks here and active and social and doing that here. So we really broaden the reach of those that we can have a better quality of life for, versus maybe the 20 you took on a trip to the beach, or so we switch gears that way, so we can provide more here at home and create those relationships here.
Yeah. And so y'all try to provide something, not on an annual basis, but almost on a daily or weekly basis, where they have something for y'all to do. What are some of the programs that y'all have found successful that you feel like you could highlight?
Everything that you can imagine. And that's the wonderful thing about this is it's something new every single day. We're not creating or doing the same thing every day. The staff are able to change programs up, follow what the needs are. But the easy programs that are always successful are your typical lunch and learn type programs, where they're coming in, food drives your people. You feed them, they will show up. And then you're putting some type of educational piece along with that. So some theme to that program, whether they're learning about maybe a canning program that they're going to utilize in their gardens at home, or they're going to take it and learn about a fire service detection piece where we're going to have one of your local agents come in and teach them about how to maintain their fire detectors, or maybe what signage they can put on the doors to help the paramedics, to help find them or locate them faster. You learn all these little elements, but you put food with it and you put an educational topic, the social side of it just blooms. They do all of that, and they make that area possible for them to just create those long-lasting relationships. And that's what truly makes it so impactful, is those social pieces keep them coming back.
Yeah.
Yes, the physical side of it, they feel stronger, they feel more confident in their steps or things like that because of a wellness class, but it's the relationships they've built in these classes or these programs are really the success story.
Yeah.
You could throw any and every wellness-based program. That's our bread and butter of what truly works. We have group personal training that works so well. So you're sharing the cost of a instructor. So what you would normally pay an exorbitant amount of money to have a one-on-one training with an instructor, we share it between 6 or 7 people, and you still get the one-on-one, but you also are getting the accountability from the 6 or 7 classmates. Where were you on Tuesday? You were supposed to be here. You missed an awful leg day. They beat us, and they keep each other accountable. But also, they're looking out for each other.
Yeah.
They know Susie's not showing up because Susie's got a vacation with her granddaughter. They know that she's not coming in because she's got a cold. Like they have built these new friendships, and that's what keeps them going.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things I'd like to do as we build out the media company is I'm dying to create, I would even love to do a daily show just on the active living centers of America. And we could even put on programming so that they could literally just watch it live and do like a chair yoga session or anything at all. Like you said, personal trainer and stuff, so that we can kind of get the great stuff that active living centers are doing across America just out into the world. So if you know of anybody listening that's big into active adults and would like to do more content on that, we would definitely help y'all create that and get that out to the rest of the world.
The hard part is reaching them. You gain that one person coming into the parking lot, and they were here for another reason. They came in here to have their taxes, taken care of. I didn't know this was here. And but it's how do you reach them? And so it's the storytelling that you talked about, Craig, that really is the make or break for us, whether it's elected officials, whether it's fighting for budget with county leadership, or when you come into getting those folks to trust us to come in, that is something worthwhile. And so the stories that we're telling of, if you are willing to tell your story about how we changed your life, you might bring somebody else in that truly needs this.
Yeah.
And so partnering with an incredible communications department that we are fortunate to have, they are able to take and tell our story and make us look good.
Right.
But to truly show off what these folks have. We just recently had a video of Fran, who has started coming here because someone else invited her and what that person meant to her. And then that story evolved to where she's a regular coming in here, but now her husband has been going through Alzheimer's, and how the community has wrapped around her that she has gained here at the Active Living Center. She's got a support team that knows her, loves on her, and is here for her at all times. And they know what she's going through, and they come in and they're checking on her, and how these outlets and these programs have truly, in her mind, saved her life in that process, to give her that outlet and that support group piece. And then you've got someone else. We had a story for Steve, who lost his wife and was battling alcohol and drug addiction. And he found us and found our billiards folks. And now he comes in twice a day. You mentioned something every single day. He comes in twice a day to play billiards with a group of guys every single day. And he said, this has kept me from ruining my life. This has given me a sense of purpose, a place to go every single day. And I get to shoot pool with my buddies, and I get to do this every single day. And that's what what makes him happy.
Yeah.
He's coming every single day.
Yeah.
Those stories you got to have and keep going with it to drive those people into these facilities, because we're still trying to break down those barriers of, this is not a assisted living home. This is not, this is, you got to take the institutional walls down. This is a place that is here for you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. All right. So, we made a video probably in the early days, within the first maybe a couple hundred episodes, because we found that Parks and Rec professionals, we can all do a better job at telling the story of Parks and Rec, the value it provides to their community, to elected officials that are sitting over our budgets. So our future budgets are in the hands of non-Parks and Rec non-Parks and Rec people. And they're not immersed in Parks and Rec. So they really don't have the depth of understanding of the value that a well-run Parks and Rec department is to its community. And so we created something called Why Parks and Rec is Essential. And y'all created a similar video, which we have. So why don't we go ahead and play that real quick, and then we'll come back and talk about that.
Sure.
Some think of parks as an extra, a bonus. Good if you have the time to go. But there's so much more than that. They're where kids gain confidence, families connect, health is achieved and maintained. Parks provide a quality of life you can feel in your head, heart, and soul. Without parks, you lose opportunity, you lose community. Parks aren't just an extra. They're essential. And here in Cabarrus County, they're a big part of how we serve our community every day.
Oh, wow. I love that. Can we play that on some of our other future shows?
Use it any way you like to. And it's because of you all that we have that video.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
your video of the essential, and then the why choose Parks and Rec as a career. Not sure of the title, but
yeah, that's right.
Those two 2-minute long videos I shared with staff back in, I want to say, January.
Yeah.
And so I was asking your folks on here of like, how do I get this link? I love the video. I want to use it. I want to take it because this helps package it and take it home. And shared it with staff, and they said, well, couldn't we do our own version of that? I said, you're already thinking where we're going. I said, yes. I said, I can tell a story, or I can show this, but it's not going to have the same impact as if I truly show the face of the community.
Yeah.
So your elected officials, your county managers, anything that you're having to go through of justifying your existence or showcasing the need, is you've got to show the face of your community. You've got to show these voters who are going to be coming out what they truly want, what they desire. And so we took your script and your video and we put Cabarrus County.
I love it.
We showed our facilities and our faces of that.
That is such a classic cultural Parks and Rec thing. It's you've been just given a farmer's market. You've never run a farmer's market. And then you reach out to people you've met at either NRPA or your state convention that have been running farmer's market for 10 years and say, hey, can you send me your game plan? And they literally just email you 10 years worth of work, and you just kind of make it your own. And so, with that same culture, the Daily Parks and Rec Show and DPRS Media has that same culture inside of it. So to anyone listening, if anything we produce, y'all, we don't copyright any of it. We're here to serve the community with y'all. Just like Byron and his team, y'all are welcome to use any of our content or reach out to us. We'll even help y'all produce some of this stuff, anything we can do to help, because it's such a powerful message. And especially when you can make it your own. And like you said, show the faces of your community members and the parks themselves. I like how y'all showed all the different signs of the different community centers that y'all run and operate. How long did it take y'all to make that? And y'all had your little marketing team do that?
That was a communications department. So it was, here's the vision. Can you make it, and can you take it? And They were fantastic. So I cannot tell you the hours that they spent and put into it. They are just extremely talented. And so always recognize your resources. We try our best to always recognize the communications department and everything that we do, because our attendance, our participations, our registrations, all are because of how much they market us and what they do to put us out there. So make sure you're thanking your people who are out there showing up on a Saturday with you and documenting with a camera. And, yes, we can take some of the shots for them on our phones and stuff like that, but to have their trained eye is a heck of a resource. And make sure you give them a cinnamon roll, while they're out there early in the morning, because we always tell people we work when others play, but the communications department may not have signed up for that. So you got to make sure you take care of your people. But that story there, we use for our Parks and Recreation Month proclamation. Yeah. Everybody, is sick and tired of someone reading a proclamation. If you've ever had to go to a municipal or a county meeting and you have somebody read off a proclamation, yes, we're going to approve this. Yes, we're going to go through the motions and do that. But no, it's an opportunity to tell your story.
Yes.
So 3 years ago, we started kind of a transition of the proclamation. We did a video of the staff and the participants reading lines of the proclamation. So you're putting a face with the proclamation, having that go through, which was great. It was a change up. Everybody was surprised by it. Then the next year, well, how do we make this better? We put the faces here. How do we make this better? And so we started putting activities in the programs as part of it too, as it went through. And when you start putting cameras and these elements in play, you capture magic. As you are aware, you capture magic. And so one of the favorite stories that we have is we have a nonverbal summer camp participant who has been with us since they were I want to say from the earliest now to 14. And at the very end of the shot that they were taking for our Parks and Rec Month proclamation video, they said, anybody else want to say anything? And he popped up and just screamed and gave us that feedback. And we all were all dumbfounded that our nonverbal participant, one, raised his hand, but then just yelled of what we wanted out of this. Like, you just talked. Yeah. We caught it on camera. And so we're calling mom and we're letting her know your son spoke. And not only did your son speak, he did it on camera.
Wow.
And so we got to tell that story. Yeah. And then we took it before the commissioners to show the impact of not only are we providing, a amazing daycare option for kids, for, parents who need to have that childcare service, but also they've learned from us. They've become comfortable with us. They've grown with us. Yeah. And so make sure you're putting those elements out there to capture that magic, because you will get lucky and be focused on that storytelling.
Yeah, one thing, and so this is one of our latest shows. Today's our second show. So we decided to start a weekly show every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So we're going to pick 52 historic legacy parks that are inside a city. So, a lot of cities might have like a zoo or maybe 100-year-old legacy park that's been there forever. It's like the Anchor Park. And so we want to create these little 1-hour documentaries. And I found this guy that is he's a radio personality, kind of like a historian. And so we're doing it first, since we live in New Orleans, we're going to do the first 4 to kind of, figure it out and be able to produce these. And then we're already starting to find other cities across America. It's like, oh, well, we have a park that's been around for 100 years and it's got a story to tell and it's got a rich history. And so this kind of came out of, creating those 2-minute explanations about why parks is essential and why you should consider this as a career path. Like, we could create almost like these little short films about all, and just in a way, tell the story of the parks themselves. Because some of these are just been part of our community forever. And so there's great stories to tell there.
That's really cool. I can't wait to see that, because that's really just giving them the platform to tell a story that many may not know of,
Yeah.
and just give them an appreciation of what they already have. And that's really it. Is you said it, and many others. We're in this industry not great at telling stories. We're not good at telling our stories. We'll tell great stories, but
Right.
not about us, not boasting of
Yeah.
what we have. But people need to realize what a resource they have, and why we need to secure these green spaces, why we need to have the staff in here to protect these areas. And the focus is spinning because resources are you have to fight for them.
Yeah.
And so to justify why we need staff, to justify why we need these additional facilities for that, you've got to start focusing on telling the story of the impact of what we do to just make a better quality of life for all.
Yeah.
And we let other people do that, but as with anything, we take it for granted.
Yeah. Yeah. And you do learn so much about this park system that's been in your city for generations. I'll tell you one thing I learned about the New Orleans park system. It's NORDS. And did you know that in 18 months, and I can't remember the date, it was either in the 50s or the 60s, NORDS built 8 aquatic centers and 80 pocket parks in 18 months. I was like, wait, back up, say that again. Because I know how long it takes us today to just get like a playground built. And the community just got behind it. And this is New Orleans basically had no parks. There was no Parks and Rec department. There was no parks, but they just said, we want to create to where every child can walk to a park or something. And everybody got behind it. And I had no idea. And I've been going to these parks forever. And they have such a rich history that most people just don't realize. And then we started talking about the different famous people that played baseball in the little leagues and then became very accomplished baseball players and football players and stuff. And those stories are all over America. And I just think it's such a rich history that we can be highlighting. All right. So kind of to close things up, Byron, if you are in front of a group of elected officials who really don't have near the depth of knowledge and understanding about how valuable Parks and Rec are to your city, what would be your message to them?
My message to them would be to step back and let the participants come and tell that story for me. So I would have those selected folks come up and tell how the facilities that they have supported and funded have changed their life for the good.
Yeah.
As a staff member, I can't sell that story as much as a participant can.
Yeah.
And we always do that, especially with anytime we are going to make a presentation at a new facility or a men's group or a ladies group or something like that, where we're telling folks about what we do. If I have a volunteer speak on behalf of the staff, it hits home.
Oh, yeah.
If I go as a staff member to go, it doesn't hold as well because I'm sales pitching you.
Yeah.
But a volunteer truly is telling you what the impact is and what their personal experience is.
Yeah.
That's what it would be. So if I had the opportunity, I'm not doing it. I'm letting someone else speak as to how it's done it for them.
Yeah, you're right. You can't beat that. It's kind of like, one of the world's best doctors telling you what it's like to having a baby, or just having a mother just stand up and let me tell you what it's really like. When you have somebody that really benefits and uses it and it's changed their life, saved their life, to me, that's the most powerful testimony right there.
That's it. So use your resources. The stories are there. And so right now it's just empowering the staff to find those stories and getting them okay or willing to tell it, whether that is in writing or on camera. But tell those stories of how and what this facility, this park, this center means to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have a little fun question for you. And this comes from one of our previous show guests. I think this was Alan Sanders over in Alpharetta, Georgia. What is one thing that Parks and Rec Department cannot do without?
One thing the Parks and Rec Department cannot do without is the people, those that we serve. they're the ones who make what we do worthwhile. They're the ones that make us feel like we have a purpose. When I worked for the park side of things for the longest time, you're scrubbing toilets, you're picking up diapers, you're doing all the grunt work pieces of it. But when you have that moment of, I was here for that kid's first catch. I was here for that first dance class that made them feel like they're a part of something. We cannot be without someone to serve.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah. I mean, that really is the heart of the entire Parks and Rec industry, is the people that we serve. Wow. What an amazing answer. Okay. So what question would you like to leave for my next guest?
I didn't know I had to come up with a question.
I know I threw it at you last minute.
Over your career, what has given you the most joy? Whether it's a program, an experience, what has impacted your life for the better? What has given you the most joy? Because those statements, those answers are what drives me to the next day, next report, next event. And I feel like that's where the conferences really come in, as you get to hear somebody else's story or someone else's ideas, and we get all excited about it and run back all rejuvenized until you get beat down by the next project. But I love hearing people's impact stories.
Yeah. What would be your answer for that one? Does anything stand out?
Had a participant. This, I don't know if this is my number one, but it normally almost always makes me cry. But I had a participant. Her name's Barb, and I would come in, I would talk with her, just come sit down with her, and she'd be waiting on a class. I was teaching archery for her at that time, and like I said, we've got 90-year-olds shooting compound bows. I mean, we're having a good time. But I would just sit down and talk with her, and she had a lot of medical issues, still does. But because of my medical history, I'm a cancer survivor. I was 25 when I was diagnosed with cancer, and just being an open book and just sitting down and just talking with her and talking about our experiences and just being able to kind of relate. We're all obviously having different experiences, but just sat down and talked with her. A couple months later, hadn't seen her in a while. A couple months later, she came in, and I got called up front. I had someone to come see, and it was Barb. And I came down, and she said, I just want you to know what you did by sitting down and talking with me saved my life. I said, Barb, what are you talking about? And she said, I'm alone. I don't have anybody. I don't have kids that will like, I don't have the people. And you listened to me. You heard my story. You heard what I had to say. You related to me where you could. And so I just want you to know how much that meant to me. I had somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And that hit so hard.
Right.
And she had made me a quilt and had sewn my daughter's name in it with her birthday. And the quilt was sweet. But I will never forget that I had an impact on somebody's life that I felt like was nothing. We sat down and talked.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a part in the why Parks and Rec is an essential services video, and they just briefly say they show two elderly people playing like Jenga, the little box, and it says just briefly, help fighting isolation. And then we move on to the next subject about it and maybe increases property value. But just to pause on that, like isolation is literally can be a death sentence for somebody. And it's just such a hard place and dark place to be. And Parks and Rec really can to me do one of the best jobs in the world and in America at bringing people, giving people a community that they can feel like they're a part of and they're not alone. And sadly, a lot of people can be in isolation for decades And it doesn't have to be that way. And the work you're doing literally gives people almost like a second family to call their own, and stuff to do every day, and fun stuff to do every day. So yeah, hats off to you, man. Great job.
Incredible staff.
Yeah,
I am just pushing wind underneath their wings.
that's
Incredible
it.
staff that are making these opportunities and just creating those spaces for people to feel like they have a purpose. And they do.
Yeah.
It's reminding them of it.
That's right. That's right. Well, Byron, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And thank y'all so much for taking the initiative and making that promo. Yeah, if you don't mind, I would love to play that several times throughout the shows and continue to tell that story and encourage other departments to do the same. We're all kind of working on the same mission, building community. Like John Prue says, we're the fun boss. On military bases, they call your role the fun boss. That's literally his title.
I love that.
And that's I was like, I think we need to rebrand Park and Rec Director, call it the Fun Boss from now
Fun
on.
Boss. I like that.
Yeah.
But yes, utilize that video. It's as you mentioned, we all take ideas, we steal them, we make them our own,
Yes.
tweak them, and that's what's like. There's no reason to not help each other. I said we're all working towards the same goal, and that's what I love about the organization as far as a Park and Rec group is that we are all going to toss, like you said, I spent the last 3 years developing this event. Here, take all of my notes
Right.
and don't jump any of the hurdles that we had to learn in the process.
Yes.
So, but that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Step on new landmines. Don't step on the ones I stepped on. Find the new problems. Yeah. Well, look, tell your staff I said thank you. Y'all are doing a great job. Thank you so much for choosing to lead them, and thank you for sharing your story and coming on our show today.
Thank you for having me. An honor to be on the show, and just fun having a conversation with you. So
fantastic. Well, have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, sir. You did the same.
Yeah. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. All right. Wow. What a powerful story that was. I had no idea about the bear attack. That was a great story. And then, but man, that closed there where, and I think Brian's story is not necessarily unique, where someone throughout his career will come to him and say, the work you are doing has saved my life. It's giving me purpose. It's giving me community. And I know a lot of times in Parks and Rec, y'all are working so hard, never really get a vacation while everybody else is getting vacation. You're working, you're putting on the special event, you're putting on the little programs, you're putting together the 4th of July celebration, and you're working long nights and weekends and holidays. And sometimes you forget and get disconnected from the people that you're impacting and how you're helping helping them at some difficult moments in their life. But every once in a while, one of them walks up to you like that lady did for Brian, and kind of leaves you with something that makes you realize that your career is important and it's worthwhile, and it's a noble career. And so hats off to all the Parks and Rec professionals out there doing this great work. And what a great episode on our 600th episode. I didn't even realize this was our 600th episode. So we'll do a little tiny celebration. Hats off to all the vendors, all the show guests that have come on. And now it's not just me anymore. We have 17 shows, 18 or 19 show hosts, all creating content for this industry to get the word out. That was kind of our early mission and vision is that, this is one of the best untold stories in America. And I've often heard Parks and Rec professionals over the last decades that I've been involved that it's the best kept secret. And we want it to no longer be the best kept secret. We want it to be a very well-known industry. And so that when you're 18 years old and you don't know what you're going to do with the rest of your life, and you find yourself having pursuing a chemistry degree, and you're like, I don't know if I want to dedicate my life to that. Then you discover Parks and Rec, and you realize, wait, there's an entire industry that builds community, that lifts people up, that helps some of the most marginalized people in our community, and gives them purpose, teaches them life lessons, helps them to create connections that are many times lifelong. I mean, think about all the little, when you were 5 years old or in 5th grade and you had a little baseball team, and next thing you know, fast forward 15 years and those people are standing in your wedding. All that's done on Parks and Rec property. And that's the work that we're doing here in Parks and Rec. And that's the story we get to tell and highlight. And I'll kind of, similar to what Byron just said, it really is y'all's story. It's not about us. It's not about the content creators and all the videographers. We have some amazing artists that work for us and help to get the message out. But you give us, we're given the brush and the canvas, but you're the story that we're painting. And so we get to help tell y'all story and get the word out and kind of just look at us as like the big megaphone that we're screaming from the mountaintops. Parks and Rec, it's a place to be. It's a place to dedicate your life to. It's a place to experience. We've got active adults. We've got mamas and babies and family reunions and you name it. That's all happening in every city across America. And so, so glad that we get to do this for y'all, with y'all. And I really appreciate all the love and support that everybody's given us on this journey. And it's only beginning. This is going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be one of the great media companies that has one of the great stories to tell. And, and maybe we could be a great media company with not much of a story to tell. But fortunately for us, we have an amazing industry that we're representing, amazing group of people that we get to highlight what's going right in a lot of communities. And it's been an honor to do it so far. And like I said, we're just getting started, and I can't wait to see what the next couple of years bring. So thank you so much again for coming on the show today, Byron. Really appreciate your story. Thank you for serving your community in the way that you've chosen to. Big shout out to your community and your staff members that are doing the hard work every day, showing up and being the fun bosses of their cities and their counties. All right, so hang tight. We don't have a show immediately following this. Typically, we would have one of our technology shows, but it's on one of those, I think, 5th Mondays or something where it just doesn't land right. But we do have our second legacy. Matter of fact, let me put up the logo. We just finished the logo here. So this is it. It's called Legacy Historic Parks of America. And so we are going to find 52 cities a year that have either a historic downtown or a zoo or an old park that just has a rich history, and we're going to create a documentary for it. So if this sounds like something you have in your community, please hit me up on LinkedIn or Facebook. I'm pretty much everywhere. Get in touch with us and let's partner up to make something that we feel like can tell the story of the actual green spaces and parks of your community. And we're going to do that every Monday at 3 p.m. with Richard Bienvenu. He is our local historian, radio talent. I found him here in New Orleans at one of my workout groups. We work out every day at the park. So it's just an open group. Big shout out to F3. And so our second one's going to be today, and then we're just going to keep churning them out, telling the story of Parks and Recreation. So thank y'all for tuning in today. We'll see y'all here same time tomorrow. Y'all have a great rest of your day. And I love you guys. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
This episode is brought to you by SDSU's Sports MBA program. If you're passionate about sports and want to work in the women's sports industry, then this is the time to pay attention. SDSU's program is 12 months accelerated hands-on learning where students have actually gotten to work with teams like the San Diego Mojo, partnered with the Farmers Insurance Open, and visited headquarters like the Upper Deck or Callaway Golf. It's built for people who want to be in rooms like that. So if you're interested, deadlines are approaching. Learn more or apply with the links in the description.
It's not just water. It's responsibility. It's leadership. It's not just drowning prevention or water safety. It's life. And every day, aquatics professionals make decisions that save lives. Because aquatics is more than swim lessons. It's community, it's creativity, it's impact. For over 30 years, aquatics hasn't just been my profession, it's been my life. I've seen the challenges, the pressure, the grind, but I've also seen the power of great leadership and what happens when communities come together. This is where education meets entertainment, where real conversations happen, where aquatics professionals come together to learn, lead, and grow. Because aquatics should bring people together. This is Aquatics Life, streaming on DPRS Media Network.
In the parks and recreation industry, attention is limited, but influence is everything. Every day, thousands of parks and recreation professionals make critical decisions. Decisions on infrastructure, programs, technology, and vendors. The question is your brand part of that conversation? DPRS Media Network was built to answer that question. We are a dedicated media ecosystem focused exclusively on the parks and recreation industry in the United States. Through a network of daily and weekly shows, we inform, connect, and influence this audience. Our distribution spans multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, plus email campaigns, newsletters, podcasts, and live event coverage. This is not a single-channel strategy. It is a multi-platform media engine. Today, our network reaches over 214,000 connections, including 51,000 on LinkedIn, 64,000 on Facebook, nearly 40,000 email subscribers, and thousands more across podcast and social platforms. While some audiences overlap, our true value is not just reach, it is relevance. We speak directly to parks and recreation directors, program managers, and industry leaders, an audience that is highly targeted and actively engaged. Through DPRS Media Network, your brand integrates seamlessly into this ecosystem. Through sponsored show segments, targeted advertisement placements, podcast features, and host-read promotions, even custom-branded content. Not as interruptions, but as part of the conversation. And we don't just operate online. We attend over 15 major parks and recreation conventions each year, reaching more than 24,000 professionals in person. Through live shows, interviews, and on-site media coverage, we position our partners at the center of the industry. Every piece of content we produce is amplified across our entire network. Multiple shows, multiple hosts, multiple platforms. Your message doesn't appear once, it multiplies. This is more than advertising. It is strategic positioning within a trusted media network built specifically for the parks and recreation industry. If your goal is to reach decision makers, build credibility, and stay top of mind, then it's time to partner with DPRS Media Network. Apply for partnership or sponsorship today. Let's position your brand where the industry is already paying attention.